is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Wisconsin.
Last day in Cincinnati. We welcome you from Great American Ballpark on the banks of the Ohio River. And the crowd filing in tonight. The Brewers will play the Reds at Miller Park, but this will be the last go-around here in the Queen City. Joey Votto continues to play well and continues to hit well. He had 3 hits last night, a .421 batting average, the best mark since the All-Star break. Chris Carter homered last night as well. He has 34, third best in the big leagues. And hi, everybody. We welcome you from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati alongside Bill Schroeder. I'm Brian Anderson, Craig Kashawn, our reporter tonight. Well, one guy we take a look at tonight is back in the lineup, and that is Keon Broxton. And, Rock, this is a guy, and you got to take the context of next year and what's going to happen in this rebuild for the Brewers. But the Brewers feel like they may have found something with this kid.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he has played himself right into the plans for the Brewers going into spring training next year. Up and down 3 times, really ineffective, at the plate. He made some adjustments down in AAA, and all of a sudden he started to swing the bat, and he's starting to hit some home runs. You can see what he's done in his last 43 games. A home run every 19 at bats. You see the difference. It's a combination for Broxton, a little bit of a mechanical adjustment, and the fact that he's playing just about every day. Now watch the hands, how quick they are in the strike zone. When he first came up beginning of the year, he was pulling off everything, really not able to drive the ball into center field or in the right field. The hands lower, using the hands a lot, and is showing a lot of power. Certainly has played himself right into the plans for these Milwaukee Brewers all of a sudden.
Well, he's hitting some tape measure home runs. He hit one 429 feet against Adam Wainwright earlier on this road trip, and a guy who has high exit velocity since coming back. All those deep analytics that tell you what kind of hitter he's been, and he's a brand new player, and he's hoping to be in the mix as we hit next season. Speaking of next season, a guy who is certainly in the mix, Junior Guerra. He's back for his 3rd start since coming off the disabled list. Craig Kashawn has the Guerra story when we continue.
Guerra will make his third start since coming off the DL, and he's been on a pitch count up until now, and we'll see how long he's able to go in this game tonight. Hi, everybody. I'm Craig Kashan back here in Cincinnati, and this 31-year-old rookie continues to impress. The team has won 13 of his previous 19 starts so far, so that's pretty good as a whole. And you talk about him being a 31-year-old rookie. One of the reasons his team continues to win is because his ERA remains rather low. In fact, it's under 3 for the season, which is quite an accomplishment in his first full year in the bigs. His manager wants him to stay at a high level the rest of the season.
He missed a month. The first start, he was limited to around 75 pitches. So it's, I think there's only so much you can accomplish, and you expect there to be there's going to be, I don't care who you are, there's going to be a little, rust, so to speak. He pitched well last time. We got him some runs, which was, was important. So he's just kind of back and in the groove. We're 2 starts into it. He was on a really good kind of run before he got hurt. It kind of interrupted it a little bit, but he's been a good pitcher this year. He's been very effective, and he's important to us.
And Guerra is set, and he hopes for a little offense from Jonathan Villar and the Brew Crew tonight. Brewers trying to win the finale of this series. We've got first pitch on the way with BA and Rock when we come back.
For us to finish the season, I think a lot of good things have happened, but it's time for us to finish the season. It's 162 games. There's no, the season's not over. We got 2.5, 3 weeks left of games, and games for guys to make an impression. Important games for a lot of these guys.
That was an annoyed Craig Counsell from last night. That was a tough loss for the Brewers. They did not play well. Concentration wasn't where he felt it should be. The Brewers had 2 really costly errors in the game yesterday, and let's hope today is a better day for Counsell's Brewers. And you like the firm stance that the manager has taken as we approach this final game of the series. And Craig Counsell and the Brewers ready to face Tim Adelman, who made a start against Milwaukee on May 6th, picked up his first win in that game. He spent a good portion of the season on the disabled list, about 2 months as a matter of fact, with a left oblique injury. So Tim Adelman is on the mound. His first pitch is on the way. Jonathan Villar takes a ball, and away we go tonight.
Yeah, second ever time he's been with the Cincinnati Reds. It was a left oblique that put him on the disabled list. Overall, pretty good numbers at 388 earned run average. Big, tall right-hander. Very similar style to last night's starter, Dan Straley. So Brewers have back-to-back appearances against starters with very similar pitches.
You see Villar in the series. He has homered. He hit an opposite field home run. And Villar on the ground to second base. That is Tony Renda starting at second for Brandon Phillips today. And that's how the game begins. Ground out to second. And let's check the rest of the Brewers starting 9, courtesy of Potawatomi. After Villar, it is Broxton and then Braun. In the middle goes Carter, Jeanette, and Santana, with Arcia, Pena, and Guerra rounding out Craig Counsell's starting lineup tonight. And we talked about Keon Broxton in our open this evening, and he continues to impress with this new batting stance. Broxton hit a home run last night, a solo shot, and has been on a pretty good pace with the long ball since being recalled from AAA Colorado Springs. As a matter of fact, he is homering about as often as Ryan Braun this season. That's a much smaller window for Keon Broxton, but there is a stark contrast in production, especially power production, from Broxton ever since he returned to the big leagues in late July.
Man, he's showing a good eye at the plate. I mean, 244 is batting average, but on base percentage 100 points better than his batting average. He's showing a good eye, showing patience at the plate, and taking advantage of good pitches to hit.
Broxton comes in with 8 homers, 18 RBIs. He's hit 7 of those 8 home runs since his recall. And it's not just about the power numbers, he said. I had a chance to visit with him before the game today. He said it's something that he knew wasn't working at the major league level. He felt like his opportunities were running short. He thought he might have one, if at all, one opportunity to return to the big leagues. And he thought about this batting stance with the hands low, and he put it into play the next day. That was his epiphany. And he said the eureka moment was the next day when he went into the batting cage and he was hitting off a tee, and he put this position of the tee up and in, and he started hitting the ball with some force and had some power as he swings and misses, and down he goes on strikes. And Adelman with 2 outs.
Well, the Menards Reds defense for tonight. You got Duvall in left. You got Tyler Holt. He got to start in center field. Game 1 of the series. Schebler in right. He's been swinging the bat pretty well. Suarez, Peraza, Renda, and Votto. No Brandon Phillips tonight. And Tucker Barnhart calling the signs.
So Adelman has retired the first 2. Here is Ryan Braun now. Braun checks in with 27 home runs and 82 driven in. He comes in batting .309. That is tied for 9th in the National League. Got 2 of the top 10 in the league in hitting in this series. Joey Votto is currently 4th in the league in batting at .318. All trailing Daniel Murphy, an MVP candidate with the Washington Nationals. Murphy hitting .347 to start play today.
And Brian doing a good job, or Brawny's doing a good job staying in the lineup. I mean, he has been very consistent in that lineup, and back's been feeling good and swinging the bat well.
And a swing and a miss, a changeup there from Adelman.
Fastball, curveball, changeup for Adelman, and throw a little bit harder than last night's starter. Dan Straley, but very similar stuff.
Fastball misses inside. Adelman, like a lot of players on the field tonight for both teams in these rebuilding organizations, trying to secure a spot for next season, at least put himself in a good position in spring training of next season. And a fastball is right there, and Braun strikes out to end the inning. Good start for Adelman. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of Ks. And now the Reds are coming up against Guerra. Wisconsin is presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Last day in Cincinnati for the Brewers this season. The Reds lineup tonight courtesy of Potawatomi. Jose Peraza, Tyler Holt, Joey Votto, and then in the middle goes Adam Duvall, Eugenio Suarez, and Scott Schebler with Tony Renda, Tucker Barnhart, and Tim Adelman rounding out the starting 9 for Brian Price. Junior Guerra back on the mound, his 3rd start since coming off the disabled list. Had a little elbow injury that put him on the DL for a couple of weeks, but Rocky's right back in the groove again, it would seem.
Yeah, good start his last time out against the Cardinals. 5 innings, 3 runs. I mean, he was able to get that pitch count up a little bit in a 12-5 Brewers victory. Only start against the Reds this year, May 8th. Got a no decision.
First ball swinging is Peraza, fouls it back. Figure the Reds will be aggressive against Guerra. He is a strike thrower, has proven to be a strike thrower this season in his first season as a major league starter. The young shortstop Peraza, 22 years of age. He's been hitting well for Cincinnati. Comes in with a batting average of .320. And again, Rock, another day without Zach Cozart for the Reds. Being very patient with Cozart, who's battling a knee injury. And they were expecting him back for the opener of this series, and here we are in the final game, and he has yet to play.
Well, Peraza taking advantage of it. His 2nd start at shortstop in this series. He started in center last night. And no Billy Hamilton. You know, Brandon Phillips out of the lineup. This would be a nice one for the Brewers to be able to get tonight with those 3 guys on the bench.
Reds won yesterday 6-4. Cincinnati shut out the Brewers 3-0 in the opener on Monday night. And Dan Straley was excellent last night. He went 8 innings, only 3 hits allowed, and 1 earned run allowed. That 3 hits, by the way, is an interesting note in Cincinnati franchise history. So with his outing last night, Dan Straley now has 11 games this year where he has allowed 3 hits or fewer. And that is tied for the most in the major leagues with Jake Arrieta, the reigning Cy Young Award winner. And it matches a Cincinnati Reds franchise record.
Yeah, he's been their best guy by far this year.
On the ground to third base, Villar's over there tonight, and he makes the play for out number 1.
Well, check out the rest of the Brewers defense, brought to you by Menards here tonight. Got Braun, Broxton, Santana. Domingo Santana gets a start in right field. It was Neuenhuis last night. VR Arce on the left, Jeanette Carter on the right, and Manny Pena behind home plate.
Pena makes his first start after losing his national anthem standoff yesterday. Very disappointing.
And he got his bell rung early on tonight. Foul tip.
Yes, he did.
Right between the eyes, and he's ready.
One away. Here is Tyler Holt. And a strike from Guerra. Holt gets the start in center field tonight. As Rock mentioned, it was Peraza in center field last night. Holt did not play in last night's game. We did see him in the opener. He was 1 for 2 with an RBI in game 1 of this series. Brewers are headed to Chicago after the game tonight. Cubs already won today. They beat the Cardinals to drop their magic number to 1. And they had a shutout win from John Lester today. He won his 17th game of the season. So the Cubs are already home, relaxing in Chicago, awaiting the Brewers to show up and start a 4-game series at Wrigley Field tomorrow night.
Yeah, you would imagine it's going to be crazy at Wrigley Field tomorrow. Cubs have a chance to clinch the division. Brewers don't want any part of that.
A Cubs win or a Cardinal loss will clinch the division for Chicago. The good news in all of that, by the way, if you're wondering, the Cardinals will be in San Francisco tomorrow, so they won't be waiting on a Cardinal loss. So if the Brewers do win the game tomorrow against the Cubs, then that'll be a delayed celebration that the Brewers won't have to be involved in if in fact the Cardinals should lose.
Kind of anticlimactic for Chicago, but still in all, it's a big day, big event. Fans are going to be jacked up. A huge lead for Chicago.
Yeah, the Cubs with that elimination number of 1 start play today with a 16-game lead in the Central Division, so they're ready to clinch up the division at the halfway point of the month of September. Full count. Guerra facing Holt.
Yeah, Junior had much better command of his split change last time out against St. Louis. His first game back, and that was against the Pirates, really didn't have that pitch, although he did not allow a run in 3 1/3. Went 5 innings last time. Much better off speed.
Do it again. Another 3-2 offering, and on the ground and up the middle, a base hit. So Holt with a single, and the first hit of the ball game comes from the Cincinnati center fielder.
7-pitch at bat, won by Holt that time. Line drive back into center field.
And now Joey Votto steps in. He's been the toughest out since the All-Star break. The former MVP had a dreadful month of April to start the year. He wasn't much better in May, but once the calendar hit June 1st, Votto started to hit. And he's hit so much, he's got his name inside the top 4 in the league in batting. And he lines out into left center field. Broxton on the run and will run it down. Heck of a play by Keon Broxton.
Well, he just got such a good jump on that baseball, and he's been doing that now for a while. Not only has he really impressed at the plate, but you know the jumps he gets, and this ball is slicing away from him as he gets out into the gap. Look at the angle that he takes. Got those long strides, making up a lot of ground very quickly, and made it look easy. That ball just kept slicing further and further away from Keon, but able to make the catch.
That's the other part of his game, right? We talk a lot about his offense, and his defense has been stellar. He's settled in and starting to figure out these big league ballparks. Takes a little adjustment period. So 2 outs, and here is Adam Duvall.
The other thing about Broxton, he plays relatively shallow in center field. That tells you he's very confident going back on baseballs. We've seen plenty of that. Goes back nicely, gets a good jump. Made some terrific catches out there.
Duvall with 30 homers this season in his first full season as a Red. And he fouls that one away. Hitters Park for sure. Home run Hitters Park as well. Not many yield more homers than Great American Ballpark in the big leagues. And Duvall, who is from Louisville, grew up around this area, a few hours down the road in Louisville. He actually was a Cardinals fan, but he has fit right in here in Cincinnati, and that left field job has been his from day one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at first, and Guerra will check on Holt.
Yeah, had a huge first half. Not so much this half as far as the home runs go, but still overall terrific numbers.
He got a little big league time, did Duvall, with the Giants 2 years ago, 2014. And then they got a little time with the Reds last year after the trade. He was in the Mike Leake deal, sending Mike Leake to the Giants at the trade deadline last year. That one's into right center. Well hit. Broxton on the run, and Keon's going to run down another one. Boy, Keon Broxton flashing a little leather early. Brewers off to a much better start defensively than what we saw last night. Blaine Boyer's beard went. That guy stole it. Chris Carter will lead off for the Brewers. And he homered last night. Rock, this was in the 9th inning, and Powerball home run number 34 for Chris Carter. It was a 2-run shot in the 9th that brought the Brewers within 2.
Yeah, turning that fastball. He doesn't hit too many right down that line, but took a Tony Cingrani fastball out of here.
Only Arenado and Bryant with more home runs. Arenado and Bryant have had this great home run chase this season, both sitting on 37.
We're going to see both those guys. The Brewers are going to see Chris Bryant over the weekend, and Arenado the last series of the season on the road.
Carter hitting cleanup tonight. Brewers went in order in the first inning with a couple of strikeouts. And Tim Adelman on the mound for the Reds. We should learn a little bit about Tim Adelman here. This is a guy with quite the story to the big leagues, partner.
Yeah, he got released by the Orioles down in the minor leagues, and didn't have a job. He went to independent ball, not too far from here. There was a team, they cut him. They didn't want him. They told him to go to a lower level league. He started to pitch. He didn't feel like his career was over. And lo and behold, here he is in the major leagues and pitching pretty well. Good story.
26-year-old in A-ball,
right,
is what he was when he started out. And it reminds me a lot of the Jim Henderson story, former Brewer closer who, because of injuries and surgeries, started in A-ball at a 26-year age. He's now 28. He's made it quickly through the Reds minor league system, mostly by necessity, and at every level, Rocky's had success, and now he's earned a spot on the big league roster, and he makes big league start number 10 here tonight.
Yeah, who does that remind you of? Maybe tonight's starter from Milwaukee?
Yeah, very similar.
Kind of Cinderella story. Both of these guys pitching well in the big leagues.
Now, Adelman was originally with the Orioles, had a couple of years in their lower levels, lower A-ball levels, and was released and ended up bouncing around the next 2 seasons in independent ball, as Rock mentioned. Carter draws the walk, and the Brewers with a base runner for the first time tonight. Carter is aboard for Scooter Gennett.
He's a big guy, 6'5", 220 pounds. He's got that herky-jerky, kind of starts, then stops, and it takes hitters a while to get used to that delivery.
Cincinnati-born Scooter Gennett will step in with a man on. He always loves coming here. He's got a lot of friends and family and old teachers and coaches here in Cincinnati still that come out to support him while the Brewers play the Reds. Gennett hit his first career major league home run here in Cincinnati, as a matter of fact. That was back in the 2013 season. He has a career high in home runs this year. He's hit 11.
Let's check it out. I mean, this is what you're going to see. You're going to start, then stop. He kind of tucks that foot in and then fires the home plate. A little bit of a deceptive delivery.
You don't see many guys make contact right with the feet.
Yeah.
It must be some kind of trigger mechanism for him to know that he's in the right place, I'm guessing. I'm sure this is a guy, has to be with his background, that has had a number of mechanical adjustments throughout his career, and he's found something that is working now, and it's brought him to the big leagues.
And maybe his way of making sure he's on good balance on his back foot before he fires the home plate. He's got a good moving fastball. And 91-92.
Oh, you got to love stories like this. Grinders, baseball lifers who don't give up. That's no easy path, pitching in the independent leagues. There's another guy having success this year who went through that route. Rich Hill of the Dodgers, who's having an incredible season. He did the same thing. Matter of fact, just a few years ago, Rich Hill was coaching an American Legion team and playing independent ball. And here he is on the Dodgers, about to be pitching in the postseason.
Right. You never know, right? All the needs, every team seems to need starting pitching, and guy gets a chance, take advantage of it, just like Junior Guerra has.
It also does speak, and I spoke to Rich Hill about this, the independent leagues, but it is a high level of play in those leagues, and guys are grinding it out, and most players there are there purely because they believe in themselves. You get a lot of the overachieving type players in independent ball. Carter took off, and Gennett sends one down the line. Long run for Duvall. That is foul in the corner. And the count remains at 3-2.
Almost like a hit and run right there. And very important for Gennett to be able to put the ball in play, because Carter not very fast, although he does have a few stolen bases. Craig Counsell trying to jump start this offense. It has been, runs have been tough to come by after the first game of this road trip. Scored 12 runs in the first game. It's been like pulling teeth as of late.
All 4 runs yesterday coming on home runs. The 2 solo home runs by Broxton and VR, and then the 2-run home run by Carter. Full count. Carter goes again. There is ball 4, and Gennett draws the walk. Back-to-back walks to start this inning. And the Brewers in business here in the second.
Hey, coming from a guy that came in with only 15 walks and 46 in the third innings. Quick trick to the mound by Tucker Barnhart, trying to settle down his starter. Not a guy that walks too many. The Brewers remain patient at the plate.
So it'll be Domingo Santana now. Domingo gets the start tonight. Nieuwenhuis was in right field last night. Nieuwenhuis hit second in last night's game. Santana was 0 for 3 in the opener. Reds have been tough on Santana. They must have something on him. He's hitless against them this year. 0 for 7.
He's been swinging the bat much better since coming off the DL. Another guy that needs to have a good finish to the season.
Yeah, Santana on the disabled list on 2 different occasions, an elbow injury and a shoulder injury. Batting .288 since coming off the DL in 20 games. And those numbers spike even higher over his last 7 starts. He's hitting .370 with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs in his last 7 games. Did some damage in St. Louis. Had a multi-homer game at Miller Park. 1-2 the count, 2 men on. And down in the dirt. Good block back there by Barnhart.
Yeah, good solid defensive catcher behind home plate. Tucker Barnhart always has been.
He's got the fluorescent green strips on the fingernails. Makes it easier for the pitcher to see the signs. And another big cut by Santana. 2-2. Brewers are going to see the Reds once again in Milwaukee. It'll be the last 3 games of the home schedule for the Brewers coming up next weekend. Reds will be at Miller Park on the 23rd, 4th, and 5th of September. And that final game, that final Sunday afternoon at Miller Park, the give-back game. Up the middle and a base hit. Carter got a good break and he'll hold around third. And the Brewers have them loaded here with nobody out in the second inning.
Yeah, 7 pitch at bat, one by Santana on a fastball right down the middle. Good at bat by Domingo. Cedar not taking any chances. Had a couple of guys thrown out during this road trip. Taking that one right back into center field with nobody out. Let's hold Carter at third base. Don't take any chances. Don't want to make the first out at home.
So the base is loaded, nobody out. Here comes Orlando Arcia, the rookie shortstop. A chance to drive in some runs. Arcia with 13 RBIs and a big swing and a miss. He is starting his 6th week in the big leagues. Called up in early August. He sat the opener of this series on Monday night. He's been in the lineup the last 2. Had a hit yesterday. Arcia is another guy that has settled in as a big league hitter. He ran through a little rough patch, but seems to have hit his way out of it.
Yeah, free swinger, not afraid to let her go. Got some pretty good power. Down in the count 0-2. Imperative to make contact here.
Now Arcia, over a stretch of games totaling 19, he's hit .313, and in those 19 games he has 3 home runs and 9 RBIs. His first 3 home runs of his career have come in the last 19 games. Carter, Jeanette, and Santana, the base runners. No score, second inning. Brewers threaten, and it's down and in. Evens the count at 2-2.
Got a good opposite field pop. He almost hit one out last night out in the right field. I figure Adelman's going to be working him away.
Heavy workload in the second inning, and still nobody out. He's swinging a pop-up. Votto gives chase. Renda's out there as well. Foul grounds. Votto makes a catch and throws a strike to the plate, and the Brewers are out for the first out, and the bases are still loaded.
Man, nice play by Votto going back. I mean, that's a tough catch up against that tarp. That is back to the infield. He goes back and makes the catch. Never taken his eye off of it. Knew exactly where he was, and he fires it in quickly to home plate just to make sure Carter doesn't think about scoring.
Good play by Votto, a former Gold Glove Award winner. So one away. Here is Manny Pena now, and he becomes a key hitter in this sequence with the bases loaded and one out. The pitcher Guerra due up next, although Guerra is a pretty good hitting pitcher. Adelman throwing a ton of pitches, and Pena into left field. That is going to fall. A base hit. Carter is in. Here comes Gennett right behind him. The throw hits Gennett, skips away, and now both runners will advance. So the Brewers score 2 on a base hit single by Pena, and then there'll be an error that allows the runners to advance.
Yeah, it'll be an E7 out there in left field. It was a pretty good throw, but it hit Gennett. But that doesn't matter. Big hit by Manny Pena, number 8 hitter with the pitcher coming up. Look how far inside that pitch is. I mean, he opens those hips up and gets it and dumps it into left. You can see the baseball hit Gennett, and both runners able to advance. There's a big hit early in the game.
Yeah, for Manny Pena, 2 RBIs. He only had 8 coming into this game. And now second and third with 1 out for the pitcher Guerra. A wave and a miss. Chased a breaking ball. I think he'd made up his mind he was going to swing right there, huh?
A little smile on his face. So maybe I'll stay back on this one.
He's been a good hitter for the Brewers. That's a legitimate .242 batting average he is sporting, which is very high for a pitcher. Anything over 200 is respectable for a pitcher, and Guerra has 8 hits in 33 at-bats.
And he handles himself pretty well, dropping down bunts as well.
Adelman's already thrown 30 pitches this inning. Number 31 on the way, and a little chopper back to the mound, and Adelman will make the play to first base. He threw a little balloon over to first base. What's your analysis of that throw to first right there, partner?
Very indecisive. Very, just kind of guiding it over there. That's how you make mistakes, right? Just let it go. Just throw it. Put something on it.
That did not look comfortable.
No. I mean, you almost just go over there and underhand. Look at this little up there it goes.
Votto's reaction.
Votto saying, "Nice throw, kid."
Votto was ready to jump. Do him a changeup over there.
Yeah.
Well, it's the second out. And to the top of the order now, 2 on, 2 out for Jonathan Villar. There's a strike.
Analysis on that throw. Don't do that again. That's not the way you want to make a throw to any base.
Don't they call that something like gator arms or something like that?
Yeah,
the short arms of an alligator. Just kind of like
little yips. Ooh, that's how you throw them away. Now, alligator arms are what happens when we go to lunch together.
Yes.
When the check comes.
Yes, especially when you said you would buy. There's a fastball high.
Short arms, deep pockets.
I seem to have misplaced my wallet. Rock's now into the Apple Pay era, where if they don't accept Apple Pay, then there'll be no payment.
Right, yeah.
Somebody's got to pick them up.
Put it on my tab.
2-1 pitch, and VR takes a ball. 3-1 now. Wow, what a disaster inning here for Adelman. 35 pitches in the inning, and he's already at 50 with 2 outs in the second. Going to be a short night for the Reds starter tonight.
Well, good news for the Reds. They've got plenty of relievers down in that bullpen to pick up the slack.
What's the bullpen tally on the Reds situation? And I know the Brewers carry 13 right now.
11 for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah. September baseball. Not many seats down there. Full count to VR. Second and third, and Jonathan takes a call at strike 3. Inning is over. Hard work for Adelman. Pena cashes in with 2, and the Brewers have the early lead.
With a 2 RBI single, 2-0 Brewers. We go to the bottom of the second inning, and Junior Guerra working with the lead here in this one. Boy, the Brewers starting pitching since August 22nd, a 22-game span. Best in baseball with that 2.86 ERA. Craig Counsell talking about that, saying it's important to be consistent, and they are collectively learning that. And right now, looks like they're going to stick with their probables through Sunday. You know, Junior started the 6-man rotation 2 turns ago, and they've gone through that completely now. And Craig Counsell will have to make some decisions apparently starting next week. But he did say today that Taylor Youngman, who is up with the club, might get a start here before the end of the year, maybe that last week of the season. So trying to work in some guys that are not getting a whole lot of work right now, especially in that 13-man bullpen.
Yeah, more pitchers than spots available as Guerra comes up and in, and he hits Eugenio Suarez, the lead batter here in the second inning. I'm sure the Brewers would like to get their eyes on Youngman at the big league level, because he did go down to AAA, struggled there. They actually shut Youngman down for a brief period. They sent him to Arizona, and the Arizona Summer League tried to get him a mental break and more mechanics and work in the bullpen and side sessions. And then Rocky went to AA, and he had a great run there at Biloxi.
A little bit more confident. I mean, it's kind of in their heads, pitching in Colorado Springs. But, Taylor Youngman had a simulated game on his road trip, and expected to have another one. I think it's tomorrow in Chicago. I'm not sure if it's going to be Youngman or just Blazek, but Blazek and Youngman had a simulated game on his trip, and probably in preparation for that start that Craig Counsell was talking about.
Youngman is down there in the bullpen, but only in an emergency would he be used. at this point, especially as he's gearing up towards a potential start. Lead runner on a hit by pitch. Brings up Scott Schebler, who's really swinging it well for the Reds right now. Schebler had an RBI hit yesterday, sprayed the ball around the ballpark a little bit. And that's got a chance to be 2. Arcia will glove it, step on the bag, and a double play. Room service as it goes 6-3 and 2 outs with 1 swing of the bat.
Yeah, good pitch by Guerra. Got that pitch in on his hands, and I should say outer half of the plate, and right off the end of the bat. A little bit of movement going away from Schebler. Tried to pull it, and it doesn't get much easier than that.
So 2 outs. Here's Tony Renda starting for Brandon Phillips tonight.
That's the other part of Junior Guerra's game that's been pretty impressive, in that he's starting to throw different pitches as the season's going on. He started to throw that 2-seamer. He's got the 4-seamer, the curveball, and 2 different speeds of that splitter. So evolving as a starting pitcher right before your eyes here at the major league level. Talked about Keon Broxton when he came on the air tonight, how he has really put his name pretty well secured in that talk for next year. How about this guy, Junior Guerra, for sure?
Well, he and Davies figure to be the 2 at the top of the rotation as it stands right now. You never know what will happen in the offseason. What a hit, though, for David Stearns, the Brewers' first-year general manager. Junior Guerra was the first player that David Stearns acquired. It was a waiver claim in October from the White Sox. And he struck gold with Junior Guerra this season.
Well, sometimes you get lucky, right? You just never know. You pick a guy up, all of a sudden he finds it, you put him in a different role, and he has flourished.
Native of Venezuela, 31 years of age, Guerra. But his arm is not quite at that age. He was a catcher when he first entered the pro game, as he misses low and away, and Renda draws the walk. A hit batter and a walk in this inning. The 3rd Reds base runner. And that'll bring up Tucker Barnhart now. Pena, a quick visit with Guerra. Tucker Barnhart, the switch hitter, up there with 2 outs. 2nd inning in Cincinnati. The Brewers just scored 2. Their catcher, Manny Pena, drove in a pair out of the 8th spot in the lineup.
The pitch was about 6 inches off the inside corner. He really muscled that one into left.
And the throw to first gets away from Carter. Renda on his way to second base. So Guerra commits the error. He does have a very good move and a quick move, and he probably just rushed that one a little bit.
Yeah, wasn't in position to throw quite yet. Yanked it. And over by the tarp, and Renda able to get into second base.
And so a base open at first with 2 outs. The pitcher is due up next. We'll see how aggressive Guerra will be with Barnhart at the plate.
In all honesty, that ball didn't look like it was that bad a throw.
They just changed it, actually. They just changed that from an E1 to an E3.
Yeah, that's not that bad a throw. That's one that Chris Carter's got to be able to handle. It goes right under the glove, and that will be an error on the Brewers' first baseman. I thought for a minute that it didn't look like a very bad throw.
Reds with a runner at second, and the 1-0 to Barnhart in the air, center field. Broxton is right there, and Guerra pitches around the error. Inning is over. Keon will lead off when we come back. We're headed to the 3rd. The Brewers lead 2-0. Pena, 2 RBI single in the second inning. And here we go to the third. After the Reds starter, Tim Adelman throws 37 pitches in the second inning alone. And Keon Broxton ready to start it off. He'll be followed by Braun and then Carter. Keon a strikeout victim in the first inning, but the change of the batting stance is the big news for Broxton this season.
And what this has done is helped him use his hands a lot more. You see early in the season, arms up, using a lot of body with that swing and pulling off baseballs and really getting a lot of pitches off the end of the bat or swings and misses. You see where he's changed his hand position, not as much body, a lot more just throwing the hands at the baseball. You can just see how that front shoulder stays closed. The hands are much quicker through the strike zone. And because of that, he's found an awful lot of success. And I can't begin to tell you how difficult that is to make an adjustment like that. You know, as a player that's just trying to make his mark in the major leagues, he got sent down a couple of different times, all of a sudden realized this is just not working. You know, what works in the minor leagues a lot of times does not work in the major leagues, and he determined that. And good for he and Darnell Coles to make that adjustment.
Well, the Brewers are the third organization that Broxton has played for. He started with the Diamondbacks, was traded to the Pirates, and then the Brewers got him from Pittsburgh in the Jason Rogers deal. And Rogers down in AAA struggling. Hey, good catch down there by the ball boy. Got the easy flow going. I got that, no problem.
Yeah. Broke his bat, did Broxton.
Is it me? Does that look like a teenage version of William the Refrigerator Perry right there? I mean, that's him. Am I wrong? He looks like him.
Yeah. Big dude.
I mean, just the face.
Since we're going to Chicago, a Chicago Bears reference.
As Broxton fouls it back.
You know where the Fridge went to school, don't you?
Huh, let me think.
One guess.
Yeah, go ahead. Get all your Clemson nonsense.
Now you're playing around now. Come on.
All your Clemson.
Sorry I didn't go to Texas.
You know, Buddy Ryan really didn't like him. That's why Mike Ditka used him in the backfield, because he was just trying to get the kid on the field.
Yeah.
Because Buddy Ryan said, you know, these Clemson guys, they're not going to play on the greatest defense in NFL history. There's a ground ball to third. And Broxton, who runs well, that was close at first base, out at first. Keon retired. Put out goes 5-3.
Actually met Mike Ditka back at his restaurant first time the Brewers were in town in Chicago.
Very nice.
He was in the back on the upstairs part of the restaurant. Over just to introduce myself, and as unimpressed as he could possibly be, he just walked right down the stairs.
I feel like you and Ditka are kind of like kindred spirits, actually. I feel like you two could really enjoy each other's company for a long time.
Now, how's
sitting
that?
in the back of a bar with a cigar.
Well, there you go. I agree with that.
Of course, that applies to most people for you. If there are any representatives of Ditka's listening, we really enjoy your restaurant. We've been there on a few occasions. By the way,
they actually do sell cigars in there, but you can't, of course, smoke them in the restaurant.
Unless you're Mike Ditka. He's got a spot. 0-1 to Braun. This is low. 1 ball, 1 strike. How do we get on Mike Ditka?
Talking about the Fridge.
Oh yeah, the ball boy. The ball boy.
Yeah, it all comes full circle for
There's
you.
a striking resemblance to William Perry, the Fridge. Facial features.
And that morphed into us trying to get a free meal at Ditka's.
I hope that worked. I mean, I'd really like to go there at some point, maybe tomorrow. 1-2 the count on Braun. And he is jammed and rolls one out to short. Peraza will make the play. 2 outs. We are getting to that time of the year. It's late in the season. The per diem is running low at this point. We're not above
begging.
It was bark at the park night last night. There was a lot of begging going on. Figured we could jump right in. By the way, you know, we had Chris Welsh's dog, the Reds TV announcer, had his little dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of bones and fur. That dog's name is Bubbles.
And your point is?
I'm just saying, I mean, it's a little dog whose name is Bubbles, and he wears a bow tie.
Now, do you think Chris Welsh actually named that dog?
I don't think so. I hope not.
No.
He might have, though. Well, it didn't work. We actually kidnapped Bubbles yesterday and didn't know that the dog's name was Bubbles, but we kidnapped him and tried to get a rally started, but it didn't work. Chris said we didn't have the magic word with Bubbles. So that was fun. They do it often here at Great American Ballpark. I think they had 4 installments of Bark at the Park, and they raised a lot of good money for the Humane Society, and we give them a lot of credit. It was fun yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have Hank the dog that handles all the heavy lifting for the Humane Society in Milwaukee.
It was a nice little parade they had around the warning track with all the dogs. They were well behaved.
Mm-hmm.
No accidents out there.
Here's a 3-1 to Carter, and a swing and a miss. 3-2.
Good changeup. He's got a good one going all of a sudden.
Fought through a 37-pitch second inning, only allowed 2 runs. Could have been a lot worse, but the Brewers did score on a Manny Pena 2 RBI single. Carter takes ball 4, so the second time Carter has walked. And the Brewers with a base runner here in the third with 2 outs, which will bring up Scooter Gennett.
Unusual wildness for Adelman. I mean, he only had 15 walks, as we mentioned. And then in that second inning, he walked 2, walks Carter again.
Gennett with a walk his last time up. He and Carter both scored. 2 walks scored last inning. And a good cut by Gennett. He fouls it back. 0-2 the count on Scooter, whose first name is Ryan. I don't even hardly remember his first name, but he was introducing himself to somebody the other day, and he introduced himself as Ryan.
Really?
Yeah. And that ball is deep to right, way back there. Schebler is at the wall, and it is gone. A home run for Scooter Gennett. The Cincinnati-born Gennett strikes again here at Great American Ballpark.
Yep, on a 0-2 curveball, knocks it out of here. How about Scooter? Walk home run now for the Brewers in the third inning. A 4-0 lead. Hits down and in. He golfed it out of here. First row into the seats and right. Barnhart wants it down, and he left it up just enough for Scooter to get a pretty good swing on it and knocks it out of here. 2 outs, nobody on. Walk now, homer.
Scooter Gennett makes it 4-0 as Santana on the first pitch pops it up. And that's going to be Duvall to make the catch. Inning is over. The Brewers have found the home run stroke. Scooter Gennett, home run number 12. And with every home run, it establishes a new career high. with a 2-run home run. Home run hitters you call Ryan. Scooter doesn't sound like a home run hitter.
Singles hitter, right?
4-0 Brewers. Our carsoup.com trivia tonight. Who is the only visiting player to have hit more home runs than Ryan Braun at Great American Ballpark? Is the only visiting player to have hit more home runs. Was would indicate he is a former player. Is would indicate he is a current player. We're not giving that away. So you're on your own for that. I have an idea.
Was, is. You lost me.
It's like, you know, our relationship. Was, is.
Was what and is now what?
Adelman, the pitcher, leads off, and a swing and a miss. That all depends on whether, in fact, you went to Skyline Chili today or not.
I did, actually, yep.
Well, then our relationship is distant now.
Literally.
Long distance relationship.
It's all good. I kind of took it easy at old Skyline today.
There's a swing and a miss, and Adelman strikes out. First strikeout for Junior Guerra.
You know, our fine radio producer director, he wanted to go to Skyline the other day, and I said, why don't you wait till Wednesday? I'll go with you. And we went, and I just can't do the spaghetti with the chili on it. I just couldn't do it. I had a bowl of chili with beans.
That's not what they call it, right? They don't call it spaghetti, do they?
I don't know.
It's a local thing here.
It's
and
a 3-way, 4-way, 5-way thing, you know, onions, all the stuff.
I mean, it is, for folks who are from this area, it's a delicacy you can't get enough of. That's it. Skyline Chili. They're doing something right. They've been around since 1949.
Yeah. And everything's good, I'm glad to report at this point.
Well, it's not the best idea to go there when you got to be around a lot of people, and you got to get on an airplane that's contained flying tube.
Recirculated air.
1-2 the count on the Reds leadoff hitter.
That was good. Every couple of years, it doesn't hurt.
Peraza waiting on a Guerra offering at 1-2, and that bounces in. People ask all the time, what are some of your favorite places on the road? And this is our last day in Cincinnati, so might not apply, but there's a great little breakfast spot we go to. It's called Hathaway's, and you feel like you've stepped back into 1950 when you go into this breakfast place, and that's where we ended up this morning. It's a great place. They have a waitress there, Rock. She's worked there for 37 years.
Yeah.
Same place. Still has the same hairstyle.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what makes it great, right? Lost in time.
Just like us. Full count to Peraza. Guerra had him 1-2. And a long look in. He and Pena not quite syncing up on the signals.
Well, this will ordinarily be split change time for Junior, but he really has struggled with that pitch tonight. Really not able to get it very close. Let's see, I figure he's going to go fastball. Fastball away. Here it comes. It's always those off-speed pitches that have a tendency to be tough to get back after you've had a long layoff. Junior missed a month. Velocity down a little bit from where it was before he got hurt.
Pena saying, listen to me now. Guerra immediately shakes him off. And the 3-2, and it's lined into right center, a base hit. That's going to go to the wall. And the speedy Peraza is on his way to third base. Bat relay comes in, and he will make it with a one-out triple.
That ball really scooted through the gap like that. It did rain today pretty hard, but I would imagine the grass not all that wet, but that thing just scooted all the way to the wall, got by Santana. A 3-2 pitch, another fastball. Again, the split-fingered fastball has been tough for Guerra to find tonight. They were playing shallow. That's why that baseball split the gap into the wall. A little bit deeper. I think Santana might be able to get to it.
There's an interesting sequence there with the battery, pitcher and catcher. Guerra had shook off Pena the previous pitch, and Pena was pretty adamant, like pointing at his chest protector, saying, let me call this next to him. And he wanted a sinker inside. Guerra shook him off, threw him an outside fastball, and the result was a triple. So Pena goes to the mound and says something to the effect of, "I told you so." And here is Holt now, and he takes a ball low. So check the sequence out here. Pena saying, "All right, let me do it. Here, look at me. Don't shake me off. Let me call it." Shook him off.
Pitcher always has the last word.
And a swing and a miss.
But in that sequence, it was interesting because Pena wanted the sinker, the two-seamer in.
On both occasions.
On both occasions, and Guerra decided he wanted the four-seamer away. And the four-seamer away seemed to play right into the hands of Peraza. He just flipped the bat out there and tripled.
Well, he doesn't like that sinker right now. He is shaking off plenty. Going to the splitter here, and Holt shows bunt, takes a ball.
He's not able to throw it for strikes. And I think even more importantly, he's not been able to get swings and misses on it.
Runner at third, one out. Tyler Holt, the batter, with Joey Votto on deck. And now Holt in a 2-1 count. He singled his last time up. He had a clean single into center field. And Guerra with the fastball at 96, so he's really amping it up a little bit with that fastball. That's the same pitch that hurt him on the triple by Peraza. He knows as well as anyone who is looming on deck for Cincinnati. And this could be a dangerous pitch here for Junior Guerra. Joey Votto waits to hit next. Hitters count on Holt, 3-1 now. Put it right by him.
Yep, ball four maybe. That four-seam fastball right at the top, borderline up in the zone.
Well, let's see what he has in mind now. Full count. And Guerra puts another one right by him. So down in the count, Guerra comes right back, just giving him the hard stuff there. And a key strikeout with Votto coming up. Now you can afford to be a little careful with Votto with a runner at third.
Well, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be too careful with Votto with a four-run lead. I mean, you got Duvall on deck. You pitch a little bit too careful to Votto, and Duvall can get him right back in the game. Well, the fastball before upstairs, borderline high. This one right down the middle, and Holt swings right through it. Guerra got away with a bad one there.
Votto takes a ball in. Stands right on top of the plate. Tough to find that window on the inside corner, though, with Joey Votto. That's where every pitcher wants to pitch him, much like Anthony Rizzo. But it's hard to get one in there. Quickly 2-0 now. Nobody's hit for a higher batting average than Joey Votto since the All-Star break. Had 3 hits last night, including a home run off Garza. And he was gunning on that one. I tell you, though, Guerra's fastball's got a little something to it tonight. fastball was right in Votto's wheelhouse, it looked like, as close as he stands to the plate. A pitch on the outside corner for Votto is right down the middle for him.
Right, and you know, he's reaching back a little bit in this at bat. 94 with a fastball. He's been kind of cruising speed for him tonight. Has been 90-91. Always has a little bit extra in spots like this.
Well, it's 2-1 now. Guerra shakes the fastball this time. Nope, he wants it inside. He'll try to put one in there on Joey Votto, the 2-1. And he did get it in on his hands. Votto fouls it back.
The best fastballs of the night for Guerra, all coming to Joey Votto here.
That's the spot right there you're looking for. This is from the pitcher's perspective, that middle in. This is all over the plate now, up and away and middle in, right?
Look at down and away though, 303. That's crazy. Nobody hits that pitch, but Votto hitting over 300 on it.
Even his cold spots are hot spots, minus those 2 windows. Yeah, the Brewers pitchers have those charts as well, and they know exactly where the spots are. It's just, can you execute the pitch and put it in that spot? 2-2 the count, runner at third base. And Guerra deals it, and Votto pulls one right to Carter. He'll go to the bag, and Guerra wins the battle with Joey Votto. That's good pitching right there. Junior Guerra, 3 scoreless on the board. The Brewers lead 4-0 in Cincy. Reminder that Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Positive Coaching Alliance and its mission to develop better athletes, better people by working to provide all youth and high school athletes a positive character-building sports experience. Visit foxsportssupports.com to learn more. Brewers got 2 runs in the second on a Manny Pena 2 RBI single, and then a 2-run home run by Scooter Gennett last inning. Sets us up for the 4th. Orlando Arcia will lead off, then Pena, then the pitcher Guerra. Bottom of the order due up against Tim Adelman. On the first pitch, over to third base goes Arcia. And 1 pitch and 1 out for the Red starter. Brewers are trying to salvage the final game of the series. First leg of the road trip in St. Louis, the Brewers split that 4-game set. And still 4 to go in Chicago. Brewers will have the Cubs tomorrow night right here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Emmanuel Pena, Manny, 2 RBI single in the second inning. Takes one inside for a ball.
Going giving names tonight, huh? That's good.
Alfred William Schroeder
The third.
Also known as Bill, Wild Bill, Billy, Rock, and other names that we can't say on television.
And what would your full name be?
Brian Keith Anderson.
Keith?
I was named after the actor, Brian Keith. Remember him?
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. There's no connection to my family whatsoever. Pena takes a ball inside.
You know, the family affair guy?
No,
No, not him.
Brian the dog?
No.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Not family guy.
Family affair.
Right.
I get it now. I apologize. You're right.
I know I'm dating myself.
There's a little soft liner into left, and Duvall lays out to make the catch. And hydroplanes on that wet outfield. Nice catch by Duvall.
Brian the dog? Family guy?
Well, Brian. I missed you said the family affair guy, and I was thinking Brian from Family Guy, but you're right.
That show back when
Brian
in the
Keith
70s.
Family Affair, you're right. Oh, man. I'm not hearing all the words you're saying right now.
And that's different, Hal.
And I have the same problem at home. My wife tells me a lot.
This is a typical day at the ballpark.
Did you say something, Rock? Yeah, that's him, though, Rock.
Yeah, I figured. How many can there be?
There's a bouncer back to the mound, and this will be a 3-up, 3-down inning. So Adelman has his best inning of the night, and we head to the Reds' fourth with the Brewers up 4-0. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Hupy and Abraham. 1-800-800-5678. Hupy and Abraham. Tell them you mean business.
Back in Cincinnati, the Brewers out to a 4-0 advantage here over the Reds with Junior Guerra on the hill. Time now for our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. And we're going to focus in on the wild card contenders over there in the National League. And ironically, the Cubs and the Mets and the Cardinals all losers today. Well, the Cubs are winners. I should say the Mets and the Cardinals were losers today as well, and the Giants. So that's how this all unfolds here. And John Lester, a big win for Chicago. You guys were talking about that magic number being 1 for Chicago, and the Brewers are headed there, of course, for a 4-game weekend series. And Craig Counsell was asked today, he was asked, what's your game plan for when the Cubs win in their celebration. He said, my game plan is to go in our clubhouse and not watch it. He said, I don't have a game plan to watch them celebrate. The only way you learn in this game is to play games and win. He hopes to be there someday, but he's not going to watch their celebration.
All right, Craig, thanks. As Adam Duvall skies to center field for the first out. 1 pitch and 1 out for Junior Guerra. I respect that.
Yeah, it might be a good learning experience for some of his young players, though. Craig Counsell's been there, done that. Sure. I mean, no big deal to him. And certainly you figure, you know, Cubs going to clinch at some point this weekend, either with the Cardinals loss or, you know, Brewers loss. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Brewer players handle that whole thing. My guess is a lot of these guys are going to be in that dugout checking it out. I mean, it's a good opportunity for these guys to understand what the ultimate goal is, and winning a championship, getting to the postseason. A lot of these guys haven't experienced it before.
Well, I think in the Cubs you can hope that the same kind of track will exist. Remember, there wasn't too long ago the Cubs were sniffing at 100 losses each and every year. They went down into the abyss and have emerged as one of the best teams in the big leagues.
When you think about it, the guys on the Brewers that have been to the postseason, of course, Ryan Braun, Chris Carter, Garza's been around. He's been in the postseason. So the large majority of these players for the Brewers are going to be witnessing something like that for the first time.
Guerra with a 1-2 count on Suarez. Saw Luis Perdomo on that graphic that Craig had around the league, and he did pick up the win today. It was interesting, though, that Perdomo beat Madison Bumgarner today. The Giants felt great about their setup with Bumgarner on the mound, Dodgers in New York to play the Yankees, and they flipped the script. Perdomo beat Bumgarner, Padres beat the Giants, and then the Dodgers just completed a shutout on the Mets, or rather the Yankees. There's a base hit down the line. That's going to get all the way to the wall, and Suarez is on his way to second with a 1-out double. And the second time he has reached. He was hit by a pitch in the second, now a double down the line in the fourth.
Now, he loves to pull the baseball, does Suarez, and that was on a 1-2 count. Pitch up out over the plate, out of the reach of VR. Let's say that was a split change. It stayed up in the zone. And Suarez able to get on top of it and rip it down the line.
And for the Reds, that is their third hit. They have a triple, a double, and a single tonight. And that'll bring up Scott Schebler with a runner at second, 1 away. A swing and a miss. And the Dodgers beat the Yankees today 2-0 at Yankee Stadium in a game that was started by Clayton Kershaw. They had a lot of rain in that game, but Kershaw was terrific. He gave up only 1 hit in 5 innings, only threw 64 pitches, but I think the rain was as big of a part of it as anything. And how about the Dodgers now? They have all but secured a division title, barring a collapse in the final 2 weeks. They're up 5 games on the Giants now in the division.
Yeah, no kidding. It's been an impressive run and doing a lot of it without Clayton Kershaw.
There's a very good offensive team, the Dodgers, that are now getting some excellent pitching. Dave Robertson, his first season as the big league skipper. A strikeout for Guerra is his third and the second out of the inning.
The guy that's been really impressive to me, you know, Tanner Roark with the Washington Nationals. He won today 1-0, beat the Mets. He's 15-8 and a 275 earned run average. I mean, he's a guy that just flies under the radar with that Nationals ball club and just seems to be able to get the job done just about every time out.
7 shutout today for Roark. Struck out 7. His ERA dropped to 2.75 as he won his 15th game of the year. Renda walked his last time up on the first pitch. A liner to right. Santana is right there, and Guerra gets out of the inning. So a 1-out double. Guerra pitches out of it. Still has zeros on the board. 4-0 Crew. Milwaukee Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Miller Lite, original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time.
Man, the Brewers with a 4-0 lead as we head to the 5th inning. Hey, join the crew for Fan Appreciation Night at Miller Park, presented by Chevrolet on Saturday, September 24th. All fans at the Brewers Saturday evening showdown with the Cincinnati Reds will be automatically entered to win a number of great prizes, including a brand new Chevy Cruze.
Top of the Brewers order, Jonathan Villar will lead the way here as we go to the 5th inning from Cincinnati. Last game at Great American Ballpark this season for the Brewers. They'll see the Reds for that 3-game series at Miller Park next week. Villar down the left field line. That is slicing foul. Hit it a ton, though. Jonathan has big power to the opposite field as a left-handed batter.
Yeah, hit one out last night. That ball carries pretty well, gets on top of it, gets that good backspin, and gets good carry to the opposite field.
And he pulls this one on a changeup. Votto's there. He'll hit Adelman covering. And Jonathan is 0 for 3 today. That's 5 in a row retired by Adelman since the Scooter Gennett 2-run homer. And 1 out in the 5th. Here comes Keon Broxton. Broxton is 0 for 2, struck out in the 1st inning, and then he grounded out sharply in the 3rd. He's made a couple of nice running catches in this game. Reds fans that go back a ways, back into the 90s, late 80s, 90s, will look at Keon Broxton and remember Eric Davis. Eric the Red, they called him. Very similar hitting style.
Got a ways to go to have that comparison hold true.
He put up some big numbers.
Yes, he did.
He was that power speed combo. As a strike, Broxton didn't like that call. Keon said Eric the Red, he's familiar with him and has seen video of him. He said he did it with a little more swagger than Keon does right now. He used to almost taunt the pitcher as he would stand at the plate with the hands low at the belt.
And he'd back it up though, right? He could hit, he could run, power, good defender.
Was an excellent gum chewer as well. 2-2 the count. And that one's in there, and Keon knew it this time. On about face, Adelman has settled down. He's found that changeup. And a strikeout gives him 6 in a row retire. That's his 4th strikeout of the game, with Ryan Braun coming up. Take you back to our Carsoup.com trivia question. Who was or is the only visiting player to have hit more homers than Braun at Great American Ballpark here in Cincinnati? Lance Berkman. That would be a was on that. And is currently. Lance Berkman had 23 home runs here. He played for the Astros. Had some time with the Cardinals as well in the division. He had a lot of games inside the Central Division. And at one point he was one of the most feared switch hitters in the game, Lance Berkman.
Man, no doubt. Boy, he could hit.
Had a very good career.
Had a very good postseason in 2011 against Milwaukee.
Braun takes low. Well, Lance Berkman is at 23. Then there's Braun. And then Albert Pujols, who is still active and doesn't come around here often with the Angels and the Reds being in different leagues, but all those years in St. Louis. Slow roller over to third base. And that's going to do it for the Brewers in the fifth. 3 up, 3 down, 7 straight retired by Tim Adelman. The Brewers up 4-0 in Cincinnati.
Nothing over the Reds. Time now for our crew in the community, and you can join the Brewers Community Foundation for an evening with Hank Aaron on September 24th at Miller Park. Funds raised will support Hank Aaron's Chasing the Dream Foundation, which helps children with extraordinary talents achieve their dreams. This annual event is always a crowd pleaser and sells out quickly, so call 414-902-4318 to register today. Now that's going to come up on our next homestand on that Saturday, the second to the last day before the Brewers' home portion of their schedule for 2016 runs out. So that's going to be before that Saturday night game. So that'd be a great way to kick off your Saturday night at Miller Park if you choose to go there on September 24th.
There is a great play by Jonathan Villar. Snags one out of the air on a line drive by Barnhart. Sorry to cut you off there, Kreger. Big time play by Villar. Put that one on the reel for sure. First out of the inning.
Yeah, not hit all that hard, but it was slicing away from Villar, who does a nice job laying out and keeping it in the glove. And first out of the inning. And now the Brewers are going to have a meeting at the mound, a pinch hitter coming up.
Yeah, Steve Selsky has been announced as the pinch hitter. Well, that was a thing of beauty by Jonathan Villar.
He could have very easily mistimed his jump because, again, it wasn't hit as hard as I think everybody thought. But Villar waited back and was able to grab it nicely down the line.
Just to follow up with Craig's point, so we're not completely ignoring what he had to say there, because we certainly aren't. I mean, we do sometimes, but not in this case. But that event with Hank Aaron, I mean, you have to take advantage of that if you're a baseball fan.
Anytime you can get anywhere close to Hank Aaron, it's going to improve your life quite a bit. He's something else, Hank Aaron.
And the proceeds go to his great foundation, and cannot recommend that high enough.
When you're around Hank Aaron, you know you're amongst greatness in a lot of different ways, and what a terrific human being.
The pinch hitter, Steve Selsky, with one away. Junior Guerra working on a shutout. Reds have 3 hits. Villar just took a hit away from Barnhart. Keon Broxton's made 2 nice plays in the outfield. So the Brewers have, in fact, tightened their defense a little tonight. There was an error committed by Carter, but Guerra pitched around that error. It didn't hurt him. That was on a pickoff at first base. Two-two to Selski.
Yeah, Guerra's still looking for his first 3-up, 3-down inning. Getting through this Reds lineup with pretty much just fastball. Hadn't thrown too many off-speed pitches.
Hasn't had a 3-up, 3-down inning, but he hasn't had a multiple runner inning. There's a swing and a miss. 2-up, 2-down in the 5th. A strikeout for Guerra, number 4.
Hey, that brings us to tonight's Tavern of the Game winner, Franklin House Bar in Sheboygan Falls. They call the Brewers by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. They get 40 tickets to a Friday night game in the Miller Lite Beer Pen. That's for April or May of next year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
I might swing by the Franklin House Bar in the off season.
I was going to say, what, tonight?
Can't make it tonight. Is Sheboygan Falls the same as Sheboygan? I mean, are we in the same general area?
I'm assuming so, yeah.
I hope so, because I'm going to go to Sheboygan at some point, and if the falls are around there, I'd like to check that place out. I like to go watch the salmon swim upstream in the mighty Sheboygan.
Pick me up, I'll go with you.
Okay. Well, I do that by playing golf.
Forget it.
So I get my nature
I'm out.
by playing golf.
I'm out.
You should come, Ron. There's a fly ball to center field. Back is Broxton. Got a beat on it. Makes a play to end the inning. And there is the first 3-up, 3-down frame. And we're going to the 6th. The Brewers lead 4-0.
To lead off for Milwaukee here in the top of the 6th, but he has drawn 2 walks so far in this game, showed patience in the plate here on this road trip, but he is an Ironman of sorts for this team. He leads the team in games started and appearances, and if it plays out where he will finish out the season playing, he will appear in 160 of the 162 ball games. Now, you talked about Junior Guerra being a great offseason pickup by David Stearns from Houston. Here's another guy right here, going to possibly set career highs for home runs and RBIs as well. These are Prince Fielder type appearances in ball games. A very steady guy over at first base.
There's a ground ball to third on the first pitch. And Carter not only is going to lead this club in games played, but I think he also is going to set a record for the slowest heartbeat. Because this dude is calm.
Yeah.
Nicknamed Sleepy.
Yeah, Prince Fielder type games played and Prince Fielder type power. I mean, that's the kind of The guy Chris Carter is. I mean, he can live with the strikeouts when you get the kind of home run power that you can get out of Carter. Good eye at the plate. He is who he is. And Craig Counts was asked about Chris Carter before the game yesterday, and he says, you know, you got to live with the strikeouts, because with that comes a lot of home runs. It's when you get a lot of strikeouts, but you don't have the home run power. That's when a hitter has to make an adjustment.
You're looking at the new Reds pitcher, Abel De Los Santos, on the mound. His first game as a Red. You know, he's got some butterflies churning.
Yeah, he was promoted on Monday from the minor leagues with Cincinnati. Started the year in the Nationals organization down in the minor leagues. And last appeared in the major leagues with the Nationals back on July 23rd against the Pirates.
Got in 2 games last year for the Nats, so this is not his major league debut, but his Reds debut. Jeanette pops this one foul in the seats. Now Scooter has had a good night already tonight in his first 2 plate appearances. At the plate, presented by Wendy's. Jeanette with a walk and a run scored in the second, and then he drove a 2-run home run into the bleachers and right in the 3rd inning. Gave the Brewers their current 4-0 lead. 6th inning from Cincinnati. Jeanette pulls one foul. Take you back to the home run, and Rocky got a breaking ball down and in, and he did not miss.
On an 0-2 pitch, the second curveball that Adelman gave him, and deposited that one in the seats and right, first row.
That was right about the spot he hit his first career major league homer here in Cincinnati 3 years ago. Two to Jeanette. 1 gone in the 6th inning. The starter, Tim Adelman, went 5 tonight, giving up the 4 runs. All the runs are earned. 4 runs on 3 Brewer hits. And the 2 key hits that produced the runs were Manny Peña's 2 RBI single and then the Jeanette home run. A 37-pitch 2nd inning did Adelman in tonight. Although he finished with a flurry, he retired the last 7 batters he faced. Abel De Los Santos. Looks like Abel, but it is pronounced Abel. A-B-E-L. He's only 23. Believe it or not, this is already his 7th season as a pro.
Yeah.
He's signed as a 17-year-old. Into left field, Duvall's coming in a few steps, and he'll make the play for out number 2.
He joined the Brewers for the first ever give back game at Miller Park. That's Sunday, September 25th against these Reds. You can get tickets to the Crew's final home game of the season in exchange for a $10 donation to a charity of your choosing. For tickets, visit brewers.com/giveback.
Domingo Santana now at 2 away. That give back game is a great idea. Applaud Mark and Debbie Atanasio. They do something every year, but I really like this effort this year. Whoever came up with that idea, could be Mark or Debbie, I'm not sure, but the idea that you would be able to use Brewers baseball to also make a charitable contribution, and you get to choose between one of the 4 charities, and when you purchase your tickets, you can designate which charity to select, and there's going to be a lot of money raised. Hopefully we get a big crowd, a sellout hopefully for the final home game. That would be great. And there's a lot of worthy charities out there, and the 4 that the Brewers have selected certainly do great work, and we know them well, and we're connected with all 4 of the charities.
Yeah, it always seems like the Brewers and Mark and Debbie do something different at the end of the season every year to reward You know, not only Brewer fans, but charitable organizations around town. $10, a good deal for a ticket. Going to a good cause.
Speaking of charities, Rock and I always like to promote events with military charities, and our friends at Stars and Stripes Honor Flight have another flight scheduled for this coming Saturday. It'll be the 35th mission since the Honor Flight was founded, and the idea is that you all show up at the airport when the World War II and Korean War veterans show up. A bad throw, but Votto makes a catch in the tag, and a 1-2-3 inning. So don't forget, this coming Saturday, the Stars and Stripes Honor Flight at Mitchell. The 6th inning from Cincinnati. Hey, a reminder, you can join Fox Sports Wisconsin and joins head coach Jason Kidd at the Bucs inaugural American Cancer Society Shoot Down Cancer event. That's Sunday, September 18. You can show off your shooting skills while raising funds to support cancer research at the BMO Harris Bradley Center. And to find out more, visit foxsportswisconsin.com/events. Fox Sports Wisconsin joins head coach Jason Kidd. He's not our head coach, as in the network's head coach, but he probably could be. We could use a life coach or two, or maybe a promo coach. As Tyler Holt leads off for the Reds.
I think you're a pretty good promo reader. You know, not the best we've ever had up here, but
not the worst.
You know who the best is.
Well, I wouldn't know because I don't do any games with that individual, but I know who you like a lot.
Matt LePay, yeah. I mean, he really...
He's got quite the man crush.
Takes it.
Matt's promo reading.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot from him.
It's a little disturbing.
Can't replicate it, but I have learned a lot from him.
He's an Ohio native. Matt grew up a huge Reds fan. Went to Ohio State. We don't hold that against him. Only a little. Usually a couple times a year. Well, yeah, Matt, he grew up listening to the Hall of Fame voice of the Reds, who is just to our right, Marty Brennaman.
And he's done a couple of series here this year.
Yep. Always try to work that out where Matt can come to Cincinnati.
Nice of you.
He's from Dayton originally, which is only about an hour from here. Birthplace of aviation, you know, Dayton, Ohio. There's Marty. He's got a nice quiet shirt on tonight, as you can see.
A Hall of Famer.
He's one of the great ones.
Yes, he is.
Marty Brennaman and his son Tom is over on the other side on television. Those two get a chance to work in the same ballpark often. It's really cool coming to the ballpark and seeing Tom sitting in Marty's radio booth and father and son having a chat. What a life.
Yeah, Marty just had a big golf outing this past Monday. Raised a lot of money. That's Tom.
I think they're texting each other right now. Pay attention to the game, son. You first, Dad. The 2-2 pitch is down and in. Yeah, Marty, apparently the backstory on the Marty Brennaman Golf Tournament is that Marty puts together a ringer group, and then Tom puts together a ringer group, and they kind of have a separate competition. And when I say ringers, they literally bring in secret surprise players that some of them are playing on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, that is a ringer.
There's a ball 4, and Tyler Holt draws a walk with Votto coming up.
I know Yuke's played in that before.
There's a lot of back and forth with that one. A lot of controversy always at the Marty Brennaman Golf Tournament.
Raise a lot of money for charities around here.
Here's Joey Votto. Votto is 0 for 2. Keon Broxton made a nice running catch on him in the first inning, and then Guerra retired Votto in the third. And he made almost a perfect pitch. He wanted it inside. Did Pena? Look where this ends up. Right there on the glove.
Yeah, that's one of the cold zones, the 170 area right there in the blue. And it proved to be the case. A ground out to first base.
And that was big because at the time, Reds were putting up a little bit of a threat with a man on and Votto at the plate. Runner was at third, as a matter of fact. Guerra has worked 5 scoreless and a leadoff walk here in the 6th inning. He's walked 2. He's hit a batter and has allowed 3 Reds hits. He's looking for a ground ball double play with Votto at the plate. And there's the ground ball. Carter's got it from his knee. Nope, nothing there, and he'll go to first base.
Oh, a nice play by Chris Carter and a good decision not to go to second base. And with a 4-0 lead, just get the shore out. I mean, you can see if he threw that ball to second, might have hit off the runner, and then you're really in trouble. Now look at Carter, fully extended, and great decision not to throw to second base and get the out.
Well, that's a good play. If that gets by him, that's second and third most likely, and nobody out. Instead, Guerra has retired the best Reds hitter in the lineup tonight. And a runner at second with 1 out. Here is Duvall. It's been a slow second half for Duvall. He made the All-Star team. He hit the break with 23 home runs. He's only hit 7 since. Sitting on 30 right now. It's going to be a great year either way you cut it from the power category.
That would certainly be a tough half to match. I mean, incredible numbers in the first half. Maybe the league caught up to him a little bit. Home runs, RBIs.
Craig Counsell always reminds us when we throw numbers like that. He goes, remember, it is a season. It's a season. So he had a great first half, and he's been down a little in the second half, but he's put together a great season, especially in his first full season in the big leagues.
30 homers and 89 RBIs. Has a pretty good shot at 100. No matter how you come up with those numbers, that's a terrific season.
Duvall's played a nice left field as well. He hit the break hitting .249 with 23 homers and 61 RBIs. He's at 30 homers and 89 RBIs now, and his current batting average is .241.
Yeah, a lot going on tonight between Pena and Guerra. A lot of nonverbal communication between the two of those guys, and Pena really trying to urge him on. They're going to go. They can't get together on it. And looks like Guerra a little frustrated. Well, on a 0-2 count, you want to make sure you got a home run hitter at the plate. Don't want to make a mistake. And, you know, the fact that, you know, Guerra really hasn't had a good splitter tonight. Maybe that discussion is between the 2-seamer and the 4-seamer. That's been the biggest point of contention between these two guys.
Well, two players from Venezuela about the same age. Pena's 29, Guerra's 31. And he says no signal needed. We just talked about it. Bring it. 0-2 the count on Duvall. Let's see what he'd come up with here. And he went riding the fastball upstairs, and Duvall chased it.
Convinced him on the 2-seamer that time.
Well, it takes a little context, right? Because as you're saying, they've been going back and forth all night. And the one time Pena was most adamant about a pitch, Guerra shook him off. And then there was a triple line drive to right center off the bat of Jose Peraza in the 3rd inning. Since that point, Guerra has been a little more willing to sync up with his catcher. Another 0-2, and he got him. Struck him out. Pena has to secure it at first. He does so. Not a great throw, but Carter makes a play.
There's that splitter. Finally able to get a swing and a miss on that pitch. Guerra has done a tremendous job tonight, you know, getting through this Reds lineup, and that pitch right there has really not been there for him most of the night. It's been basically fastball, but gets the strikeout on Duvall with that split change.
All right, so Guerra, strikeout number 5. He's retired Votto and Duvall with a runner on. 2 outs for Eugenio Suarez, who doubled his last time up. 4-0 Brewers. Reds only 3 hits thus far. Suarez giving the Reds another 20 home run performer at 3rd base. Todd Frazier was a regular in that category for a couple of seasons, and Suarez has taken the mantle after Frazier was traded to the White Sox. Guerra, 1 ball, 1 strike on Suarez. And a runner at second. That is Tyler Holt with good speed. And that one's fouled away. He's late on the fastball. And a lot of these Reds hitters have been late on that fastball tonight. Guerra's hit 96 with the fastball tonight, but he's been riding around the 93, 94 mile-an-hour range.
This is where that split change is usually the strikeout pitch for Junior. We'll see what he goes with.
Multiple signals from Pena with the runner at second. 1 ball, 2 strikes a count. Holt takes his lead. Inside they go, and in the air, shallow right. Back is Jeanette. He's got it for the out. And again, Junior Guerra, just beautiful pitching. Great execution. Putting it right where he wants it. And he's got another 0 on the board.
To the 7th inning here at Great American Ballpark, and keep up with the Brewers wherever you are with MLB.com At Bat, the official app of the Brewers, featuring live broadcasts, scoring updates, breaking news, and much, much more. Download At Bat today, free for your smartphone or tablet.
It's a beautiful night in Cincinnati after some rain came through here about 4 o'clock today, and there is number 70 in your program, Jumbo Diaz, and he'll be the 3rd Reds pitcher tonight.
Yeah, upper 90s with that fastball. He's got a slider to go with it. 38 appearances for Jumbo and a 367 earned run average. Strikeouts are down for him a bit, given the fact that he can get the fastball up around 98 miles an hour.
You know, Rock, he wears number 70 because he lost 70 pounds.
Is that right?
That's why he chose the number 70. It's a bit of an unorthodox number for a major league player. That's usually the number you get when you're kind of on your last legs at spring training. But that's why he wears it. He's at 278 now. I don't know if that's exactly right now, but whenever the weigh-in went down. He was pushing 350 before he lost the weight.
And when he lost the weight, he got to the big leagues.
And then chose number 70. So he'd never forget. Carries that nickname proudly, Jumbo.
Yeah.
Got the glasses rocking this year. That's always comforting as a hitter when you see a pitcher wear glasses and do a lot of squinting.
Yeah. Especially when he throw like 98 miles an hour. But he's thrown all sliders so far to Orlando Arcia. Hasn't thrown a fastball yet.
One-two pitch. Arcia pops it up behind the plate. That will end up in the seats. 3 rows up. Pretty tight quarters back there behind home plate here in Cincinnati. Arcia's first trip here. Great American Ballpark. Had one of the great home run derbies here last year, 2005. Won by Todd Frazier. Maybe the saving of the home run derby as Arcia off the end of the bat into right, and there is out number 1. I love the new format of the home run derby. I think it's here to stay now.
Yeah,
makes it a lot more entertaining.
Guys aren't taking as many pitches. They're swinging the bats. It's the way the game is, not just the games themselves where guys are taking a lot, but the home run derby, that got to be a little bit long, went long with all the pitches that they were taking, so they changed it up. Time limit.
Here's Manny Pena with 1 out.
The Todd Father.
The Todd Father.
One of the great nicknames.
Yeah. He had some good years here with the Reds. Great history with this franchise. Matter of fact, the address to the ballpark is Joe Nuxhall Way. And there's also a Pete Rose Way that brings you in here as well. Joe Nuxhall, the great broadcaster, Marty Brennaman's partner for many years. Pitched in the big leagues for the Reds at age 15 during the war years. Can you imagine 15 years old in the big leagues?
Yeah, driving your bike to the ballpark after you get out of school and
right.
pitch a game in the big leagues.
There he is, Joe Nuxhall. Wade Hoyt and Marty Brennaman. Joe was great. He was a fun guy to be around. We miss him. Passed away in 2007. And he and Marty were a dynamic duo. Matter of fact, there was at one point they were let go by the Reds. They were not renewed, and the fan outrage was so extreme that they put them both back in the booth together. They reinstated both of their contracts. That's when you know you've developed a relationship with your fan base. There's a base hit in the left. Manny Pena with his second hit after driving in a pair in the second inning. He is 2 for 3 tonight.
Yeah, first hit for the Brewers since that two-run home run by Scooter Gennett. Actually, first base runner. Yeah, Reds pitching's been pretty good, but Pena able to turn around a 95-mile-an-hour fastball up and in.
Pena put the Brewers on the board first in the second inning. And then Scooter Gennett with a 2-run home run in the third. Brewers are in the 9th spot in their batting order, and Andrew Susac will pinch hit. Nice visit with Andrew today from Craig Kashawn. Brewers Live pregame. You can check that out on Twitter right now and on the Fox Wisconsin page. Interesting discussion with Andrew and the fact that he's with an organization now where he feels like he has a chance to be an everyday catcher perhaps. He was Buster Posey's backup in San Francisco, the team that he grew up rooting for. He was a diehard Giants fan, he told Craig. Grew up in Sacramento. Got a chance to play for the Giants. That call from the Giants on draft day, one of the most memorable moments of his career. But very good attitude now. You know, you leave an organization like that and you wonder about a player's attitude, and he's excited to be here. He's got a great chance.
I don't know about playing time, right? You're not going to get a whole lot of playing time with Buster Posey in front of you. Although Posey does play some first base, but and now with the Brewers has an opportunity maybe going into next year. Who knows what's going to happen? Might find himself on a big league roster.
Well, he'll certainly get his chance. You know that. And a good experience for him here in the last month of the season to learn the pitchers, learn the program in the big leagues, and he'll have a chance in spring training to add to that. And I'm sure as a player, and that was what Craig Counsell had to say about Susac when he arrived. If you're a player and you're reading all of that, that's got to give you life, because you know the manager's thinking about you that way if he puts it out there to the media. Susac takes a ball. 1-2 the count.
You say that about a lot of these guys in this current roster. I mean, everybody needs to finish strong. Craig Counsell said that last night after the game. Very disappointed with the effort, and these guys all have a lot to play for.
He's showing a good eye here. 2-2 the count on Susac. Well, Craig Kashawn had a chance to visit with him earlier. And what else can you add to the story, Craig, about Susac? Seems like a pretty affable fellow.
Yeah, no, he was great to talk to. When he was in high school and college, the catcher he watched most was Joe Mauer, and mostly because of his demeanor, how he called games. But ironically, he said when he was a kid, his dad got him hooked into catching by watching, well, his dad did, Johnny Bench, but he watched the way Johnny Bench went about his business as well, and couldn't wait to get here to Cincinnati, and loves the history of baseball, going to these ballparks with the long history like the Reds here, and admires Johnny Bench most, that's for sure.
Well, and I know, Rock, that he was a big part of your upbringing as well, Johnny Bench, and how many catchers across the country, myself included, wore number 5 for Johnny Bench.
Yeah, and he revolutionized the game behind home plate. I mean, the way he would handle pitchers, and he hardly ever really blocked pitches in the dirt. He was so good. His hands were so good. He can pick a ball in the dirt. I mean, very rarely, if ever, missed one. And I think that players like myself, trying to learn the right way to catch. I mean, the last thing you want to do is watch Johnny Bench block balls, because he didn't. He picked them. That's how good he was.
Yeah, maybe like modern day Yadier Molina. We talk about Molina, how he picks.
Yeah, the hands. But I was a Jerry Grody guy. Number 15 I wore.
Yeah, Jerry Grody of the Mets.
Yeah.
The amazing Mets. Full count to Susac. Runner at first. 9th pitch of the at bat, and a broken bat. Votto makes the call. And the second out of the inning.
Well, there wasn't a young catcher anywhere in the country that didn't admire what Johnny Bench did. Just watch him and all. And you know, he wore a very small catcher's mitt. That was the thing about Bench, a very small mitt, and still able to, you know, pick balls in the dirt. A terrific throwing arm.
Well, Pena is still at first, 2 outs now. And to the top of the order here is VR. VR with home run number 16 yesterday. Career best in that category for him. He's having a career year pretty much across the board. Never played this much in a big league career. And I think the message from Craig Counsell probably had VR in mind, and others, but especially VR. He's played a lot, wants to be an everyday player, and I think Counsell's using this almost as marathon training, right? He's trying to make sure these guys who haven't been a part of Septembers or playing in a regular role, everyday role, that they feel September and they go into their off season with preparations with a full 6-month season in mind. And honestly, if you're Craig Counsell, you're always selling the 7-month season.
Yeah, and you have a lot to lose if you're Jonathan VR. Right now he's at 291. I mean, he's been around or above 300 just about all year. So if you don't keep that focus and really play hard, not that he's not, but you know, you hate to finish the season, you know, about 288, something like that. If you've been around 300 all year, it's going to be impossible for VR, or near impossible for him to get his batting average up 9 points at this point. That's a lot of hits.
He's more than doubled his at-bats than at any other point in his career. Most games he had ever played before this year was 87. And this is 140 for him tonight. So he has career highs in stolen bases. Matter of fact, he's third all time Brewers franchise single season with 54.
Coming in 530 at bats. That doesn't even include walks.
Tonight VR is 0 for 3. There goes Pena, and VR sends one in the air to center field. That'll be playable. Tyler Holt is over, and that will retire the side. Jumbo Diaz puts up a 0 in the 7th. Stretch time in Cincinnati. Let's get you caught up. It started with a Manny Pena 2 RBI single. That was in the 2nd inning and put the Brewers on the board first tonight. Scored Carter and Jeanette. Junior Guerra on the mound for the Brewers. Then it was Scooter who added to it with a 2-run homer in the third. Back-to-back 2-run innings for the Brewers, and that's been all they would need as Junior Guerra goes 6 strong. Only 3 hits allowed to the Reds, no runs, and his ERA drops to 2.81. Guerra is out after 6 innings. He'll turn it over to the bullpen to try to take him the rest of the way.
And did it in a fashion we're not used to seeing out of Junior Guerra. I mean, didn't use too many split changes. Of course, he didn't have a good feel for it. I don't remember a curveball, but you know, the 2-seamer, 4-seamer, had 1 3-up, 3-down inning. But bottom line, no runs on the board through 6 innings as Corey Knebel takes over here in the 7th.
Knebel will face Scott Schebler to start the inning.
Corey pitched last night and a 3-up, 3-down inning.
Guerra finishes with 86 pitches. Just trying to ease him back from the disabled list. I'm sure he could have continued on here, but no reason to push it at this point. The Brewers have plenty of relievers. Have a 6-man starting rotation going. And Knebel, certainly a guy who could use some confidence. Had a good outing here in Cincinnati. And a nasty curveball for a strikeout. And Schebler is gone for out number 1.
Yeah, that's the one he needs to be throwing, and that's about as good as a curveball he's thrown in a while. His curveballs lately have been big and loopy. Not a lot of quick break on it, but check this one out. Almost like a slider. That's a nice pitch. Late breaking, sharp. Doesn't have to move much, but just make sure you have it move late.
Knebel with 1 away, facing Tony Renda now, the Cincinnati second baseman tonight. No Brandon Phillips in the lineup this evening. Reds will have the Pirates coming in here next. Brewers are on their way to Chicago for a date with the Cubs tomorrow night. And the Cubs sitting on an elimination number of 1. Renda lined out in the 4th. First at bat he walked, first plate appearance. Was stranded at second base. Reds have not had multiple base runners in an inning. Guerra only had 1 3-up, 3-down inning, and there's a base runner. Renda singles. And a 1-out base runner for the Reds here in the 7th.
Yeah, second time he's gone to right. He lined out to Santana in the 4th. Able to fight that one off over the head of Jeanette.
Got to bring up Tucker Barnhart now. Barnhart has caught all 3 games of this series.
He looks like a catcher, doesn't he? Got the eye black on, the beard. Looks like a tough customer. Even has a great catcher's name, Tucker Barnhart.
A catcher's build as well.
Tough.
Well anchored.
This looks like a tough guy.
Guarantee you he doesn't have a dog named Bubbles.
He might. He might. You know, a guy like Tucker Barnhart, he could have a dog like Bubbles. Nobody's going to say anything.
At a certain point, you cross over a threshold when you can have a dog like that. No balls, 2 strikes, and it's fouled away.
Bubbles.
That's a spillover story from our park at the park night last night here in Cincinnati. All the dogs were out there. They had over 1,000 dogs here last night.
Yeah.
And about that many humans.
I would imagine that the cleanup crew didn't have a whole lot of work to do. There wasn't a whole lot of hot dogs laying on the ground.
It just depends. A different kind of work. A different kind of leftovers. 0-2 pitch.
Not a broom, but a shovel.
Man, I'll tell you. You think about what a ballpark, you know, even for us, we walk in a ballpark and your senses are attacked with great smells and you know, the hot dogs, or you can imagine for a dog walking in here, all that green grass out there looks pretty inviting. First of all,
overwhelming. Overwhelming.
Overstimulated for sure, and all the smells of the ballpark. 1-2. Knebel deals, and that's in there. A called strike 3. Got him with a fastball.
Yeah, burned off that outside corner. That was a nice pitch by Corey Knebel. You know, mid-90s fastball right on the edge. Look at this. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. There's no way you're hitting that.
And so Pena's out to chat with Knebel. He's got a pinch hitter coming up. Ivan De Jesus Jr. will bat for the Reds. He started at shortstop last night, did De Jesus Jr. And he can close the book on Jumbo Diaz, who went 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs. Brewers haven't done much since that Jeanette home run in the 3rd. They only have 1 hit since that time. The Red starter, Tim Adelman, finished by retiring 7 in a row. And Reds pitching overall has retired 13 of the last 14 Brewer hitters. But the Crew has the lead 4-0 here in the 7th inning. Trying to return the favor of a shutout to the Reds. Reds shut out the Brewers in the opener Monday 3-0. One ball, 1 strike. On the ground, right to Arcia. And he'll make the play to first for the out to end the inning, and Knebel puts up a 0. He's pitched well twice here in Cincinnati. The Ohio River, and 4-0 Brewers. They lead the Reds. Don't forget, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app and take Fox Sports Wisconsin and Brewers baseball with you wherever you go. And we'll be back at it tomorrow night. Brewers and Cubs from Wrigley Field. The road trip continues, this 11-gamer. And the Cubs, with an elimination number of 1, have a chance to secure the division. Brewers hope that is not the case. Miller Lite, what's on tap? 6:30 airtime tomorrow. And then Friday, it's a 1:20 start. No television on Friday. Saturday, Sunday, we're back on the air. 2:30 for Brewers Live Saturday, and then 12:30 Sunday. So that's the rundown from Chicago. Ross Ohlendorf is on the mound for Cincinnati. Facing Keon Broxton to start it. And Broxton is quickly down, no balls and 2 strikes.
Got that old time delivery, for Ross Ohlendorf. That could be a bit unnerving for a hitter. You don't see that anymore with these scaled down windups that pitchers use these days.
Ohlendorf, 34 years of age. Reds were able to pick him up before the season started. And he strikes out Keon Broxton to start the 8th. Ohlendorf spent some time in the big leagues with the Pirates, the Padres. Came up as a Yankee, as a matter of fact. And the Brewers have seen plenty of him through the years. Last year with the Rangers. And his first year as a Red. Facing Ryan Braun here with 1 out. We play in the 8th inning in Cincinnati. 4-0 Crew. And Braun takes a ball down and in. Ohlendorf is an Ivy Leaguer from Princeton.
Everybody kind of rocks back and forth on that pitching rubber. As long as you're in contact with the pitching rubber when you get ready to get rid of the baseball, you're okay. You can see the way he kind of rocks his foot, that right foot, back and forth. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as that foot is planted on the rubber when you get rid of the baseball. Kind of lulls you to sleep with that very deliberate, slow windup. Right there has just the heels on the pitching rubber, but that's not the case when he gets rid of the baseball. Hey, you see it right there.
Deals a strike to Braun. A thinking man's pitcher, Ross Ohlendorf. And he's been able to ride the wave and keep himself in the big leagues all these years. Looked like his career was going to be over on a number of occasions, but here he is, still at it. And Braun sends one to right field. That is slicing foul. You might remember the story on Ross Ohlendorf. He is the guy that, as a member of the Pirates, did an internship with the Department of Agriculture and has a future in politics, perhaps, or a future working for the federal government. Not bad on your resume.
Right.
Braun takes one inside, ball 4. So a walk with 1 out here in the 8th inning will bring Chris Carter to the plate. Powerball home run leaderboard. Carter now with 34 after his 2-run blast last night. And he is 3rd in the league. He's 3 off the league lead right now. 2 players with 37 home runs. Nolan Arenado of the Rockies and Chris Bryant of the Cubs. There goes Braun, and Carter takes a ball inside. Braun steals second. Number 14 for Ryan Braun. Check at number 15 for Braun. Got a chance at 20 this year. He just keeps stacking up the numbers, does Braun. Power and speed. He's been doing it for a long time.
Nice to get a little bit of insurance. The Brewers have had a difficult time. And not only scoring runs, but getting base runners in this game since that 3rd inning. Get a little bit of insurance here.
Carter in a 3-0 count. Let's see if he has the green light here. One away in the inning. And Carter takes.
There's been a number of professional athletes that have turned to politics.
Sure.
Bill Bradley, professional basketball player. Dave Bing is a current mayor of Detroit.
That one's inside. Carter draws the walk. Did you ever have any thoughts about politics, partner, after your playing days?
Yeah, I don't think I could get through the screening process.
You're a likable fellow.
No, it's not for me.
What kind of screening process could there be? I mean, we've been involved in this political environment this year. I'm thinking you'd be fine.
Okay.
Based on the current situation.
Right.
I think you'd be a great candidate. I'd write you in right now, as a matter of fact.
Thank you, but I'm not running.
There's a swing and a foul by Jeanette. Don't forget Jim Bunning.
Yeah, didn't Kurt Schilling want to get into politics, right?
Yep, I think he did. I could see Tim Tebow getting into politics at some point. Now that he's got the professional baseball career underway.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Dave Bing's not the mayor of Detroit. He used to be. I just want to clean that up.
Okay, well, good job.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Made that mistake.
You know, that's part of the screening you're talking about. So maybe you're right. Maybe you wouldn't be the kind of candidate that we're looking for.
Yeah, can't ever make mistakes.
Squeaky clean.
Right. Jim Bunning actually a senator from Kentucky.
Yeah, congressman.
Right across the river.
Yep. Well, Ross Ohlendorf has a degree from Princeton in operations research and financial engineering. So if there's anybody who could do it, and not to mention he's from Austin, Texas, which gives him a leg up anyway. My hometown.
Actually, Bill Bradley actually went to Princeton just like Ohlendorf.
I think Bill Bradley was part of the whole process with Ohlendorf getting his internship a few years ago. I don't know to what extent, but oh, and 2 the count with 2 on. And 1 away, and Jeanette in the air, left field, hit well. Duvall's on the run, and he's got it for the out. Second out of the inning. Runners retreat. So of all the players you played with in the big leagues, who would you say would be the best president? Robin Yount? What a leader.
No, Robin's just too honest to be.
That's a good point.
He's not a guy that's going to beat around the bush a whole lot.
Might get him in trouble.
Yeah. That'd be a good question. That's something I might have to chew on. Maybe get back to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe later on in the inning.
There's Santana. Sends one deep to left. He'll watch this one go. Wow, that is way up there. Domingo Santana unloads a mammoth home run and a put away punch for the Brew Crew.
Yeah, how about Domingo Santana for president? Wow, that ball crushed. You don't see many way up there. Well, the Brewers able to get some tack-on runs, a couple of walks, and then a home run by Santana. Bingo, 2-seamer up this time. He's doing a good job getting it down in the zone, but watch how far this one flies. Boy, oh boy.
Boy. Badger Mutual Insurance runs of the game. 3 on the board quickly with 2 outs. As the Brewers hit their second home run of the night. Now Arcia rips one foul. Santana, home run number 8. Got it all.
Well, those 2-out runs are backbreakers for the opponent.
Arcia takes a strike quickly. 0-2. I like the way the mini fridge just puts his body in front of it. He just takes those ground balls.
I'm still thinking about which one of my teammates would have been a good president. I can't come up with one. I got to be honest.
Here's the 0-2, and that is foul. How many of your former teammates can you actually name right now?
Oh, tons. Come on. I'm thinking along the the Paul Molitor type person, guys like that. Molly.
How about Pete Ladd?
He's very diplomatic, Paul Molitor. Nah, Petey's not. Nah, he wouldn't be. Petey lives in Maine, doesn't even have a cell phone.
Arcia strikes out, and that will end the inning.
Get a cell phone, Petey. You can be president.
Somebody introduce him to Drake. Call him on the cell phone. He doesn't have one, though. 7-0 Brewers. Santana with a 3-run homer, and the Brewers up big. To the legend here in Cincinnati, legend in Major League Baseball, no question about that. Matter of fact, it was yesterday, 1971, Frank Robinson hit his 500th career home run. So celebrating that anniversary yesterday, did that as a member of the Orioles.
Yeah, Jan Marinez taking over here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 40th appearance for Marinez, who's had a really nice season. Frank Robinson was a player manager with the Indians.
One of the last to do it.
Yeah. Pete Rose did it here.
Right. Lou Boudreau did it, won a World Series as a player manager with the Indians in '48. I don't think we'll ever see that again.
No, probably not.
Player manager.
Too much to do. I mean, managing, coaching has taken on a whole new life as opposed to the way it's been, the way it was, many years ago.
Frank Robinson was a player manager in Major League Baseball. Bill Russell, who Jeff mentioned, was a player coach in the NBA. Two great leaders. Top of the order, Mariñez facing Peraza, trying to move this one toward the finish line today. The Brewers lead 7-0. Little jam shot, sounded like he broke his bat, and a long run out there, and Arcia and Broxton collide. On his way to second, Peraza, the tag, he is out at second base. With fielders sprawled all over the grass in the outfield, Braun comes up with the baseball and fires a strike.
All right, nice play by Braun, backing it up. It looks like everybody's going to be all right. A couple of glancing blows out there, but a fatal mistake, and not a very good base running play by Peraza, down by 7 runs. Getting thrown out by Ryan Braun. A perfect strike to second base, and yep, indeed, he's out.
Well, that could have been a bad collision. It was pretty bad on its own, but we've seen those through the years. If you've been a Brewer fan for long enough to remember the Dale Swaim injury, those are the ones that scare you. With an infielder going back and an outfielder coming in. That's how Dale broke his leg.
Yeah, right. Never was the same after that. And Brian Price wants to take a look at it. On the review that we saw, the replay we saw, it looked like he was out, but maybe not.
Reds are challenging this. Tim Timmons, or rather Mike Everett, is the crew chief over there with the calling umpire. And let's see if we can tell definitively the tag.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Not sure there's enough there. He's out.
Yeah, so Mike Everett gets the call from New York, out at second base. Call is confirmed.
It'd be a base hit for Peraza, but caught stretching it into a double. You see it right there. Good call. Good tag by Jeanette. He was in perfect position. And how about the throw by Ryan Braun, right on the money.
A 7-4 put out. And fortunate that everybody's all right. That could have been a really bad collision. I think the athleticism of both Arcia and Broxton, they were able to spare any injury. First ball swinging, Holt bounced it over to third, and 2 outs now in the 8th inning. You could almost just see that coming, right? I mean, the way it was developing. Arcia, I think Arcia, without the threat of a center fielder coming in, would have made that catch.
Yeah, he got out there very quickly. I mean, he covers good ground out there in the short center field, and Broxton, as fast as he is, I mean, I think if either one of them weren't there, the other one would have caught it. It's amazing how these middle infielders, how far out into the outfield they can get and make plays. It's not just Brewers. It's just about it, you know, amongst all of baseball. These guys are very athletic.
Votto slaps one to left, a base hit. And it's always tough to get through a night and hold Votto hitless. Singles in his final at bat.
Yeah, but that's the way you want to give up hits to Votto. Late in the game, big lead, nobody on base.
The spray chart of Joey Votto does a lot of his damage up the middle. One of the game's great hitters.
And one thing you notice about Votto in the second half, much more aggressive at the plate. He's not taking nearly as many pitches. It's been the biggest knock on Votto around these parts here in Cincinnati. Too many times he goes up there looking for a walk, particularly with men on base and scoring positions. Not doing that anymore.
No balls and a strike on Adam Duvall, who's 0 for 3 tonight. And that's going to skip away from Pena. Votto won't bother. 7-0 Crew. Domingo Santana with a 3-run home run in the top of this inning. Came with 2 outs. Matter of fact, the Brewers have hit 2 home runs tonight with 2 outs, representing 5 runs in this game. Jeanette's 2-run homer in the third was with 2 away, and Santana delivers a 3-run blast. Little jam shot to Arcia. Tough hop. He's got it. And fires a strike to first to end the inning. Jan Marinez with a scoreless inning. Good hustle defensively by the Brewers. We go to the 9th inning. Brewers coming up. Final game of the year in Cincinnati for Milwaukee. And a 7-0 lead as we go to the 9th. Say there is still time to get tickets in Club Goodwill for just $12. Simply visit the left field ticket windows as soon as the Miller Park gates open to get your $12 tickets for section 238. That's in the left field loge bleachers. And to learn more, visit Brewers.com. That is prime home run territory out there in Club Goodwill. New pitcher is Wandy Peralta. The Reds have made a number of changes here as we go to the 9th. Manny Pena set to lead off for the Brewers at the plate.
Yeah, one of 3 left-handers out in that bullpen. You got Reed, the closer, Cingrani, and Peralta. Wandy Peralta. 5th appearance for the left-hander. Yeah, new catcher behind home plate.
The new catcher for the Reds is Rafi Lopez, and that's Hernan Iribarren, the national anthem standoff winner yesterday. Former Brewer, he's over at first. So Barnhart and Votto are out. Pena with a good night tonight. 2 hits, drove in 2 runs. A Pacific Coast League All-Star this season. Yeah. In AAA for the Brewers in Colorado Springs.
A big hit in the 2nd inning. A base hit with the bases loaded, plating 2 runs. Got the Brewers going tonight. He swings the bat well. He really does. I mean, he's got a good idea at the plate. And he's looked really good. He's been involved and really aggressively involved with Junior Guerra tonight behind home plate. You like to see that. Starting to show that confidence and calling a game for his pitching staff.
And he walked him, so Manny Pena on his way to first base. Pena a leadoff walk. Puts him over there with Hernan Iribarren. They won't hold him on right now, but in case you missed it now, there's a backstory between these 2 guys. They were in a national anthem standoff yesterday. They stood there for about 13 minutes. And they stood there literally until right before the game. And then home plate umpire Jordan Baker yelled at Manny Pena. He could have yelled at Iribarren, but
so that's the thing. I mean, so he didn't really lose. He was just forced off the field. I mean,
no, you kind of lose because he could have run the risk of ejection and stayed in there.
I would have run that risk.
Anyway, Jordan Baker said, "Get off the field." And Pena did, because he
could have
respects authority.
He could have easily gone over to Iribarren and said that, but
he could have. But he chose to go left instead of right. So the Reds got the hometown call.
And he seemed like he was a little bit irritated with the whole thing. I mean, he really wasn't in the spirit of what was going on there.
That was all good fun.
Jordan Baker.
Two guys from Venezuela, Pena and Iribarren, from the same hometown, as a matter of fact, in Venezuela. And they not only stood for the national anthem, but they stood 13 minutes after the national anthem ended.
Good for them.
Love that. Iribarren said after, he said, I wasn't really intending to continue to stand like that, but I looked over at a guy from my hometown over there, and he wasn't budging. Yadiel Rivera sends that one deep into left center, and that is off the wall. Pena will end up at third base, and Yadiel Rivera with a booming double off the left center field fence.
Well, fastball down and in, and he just golfed it out of there into the gap in left center. And Manny Pena with a big lead. Eddie Cedar not going to risk a collision at home plate. I think Rivera might have thought that was out of the ballpark, the way he trickled out of the box. Of course, he knew that he had Pena in front of him. That'll be a double. Still nobody out. Hit that one hard. That's pretty deep out there in the gap in left center in this ballpark.
Well, Rivera, his fourth double, been up and down a little bit with the Brewers this season. We saw a lot of them in April and May. And since he has been recalled, the September call-up, that is his first double since being called back up, and only his second hit. Good for him. Gets in a game and delivers. Second and third, nobody out. VR turns around, hits right-handed. Looking for his first hit of the night. And VR, a line shot out, caught by the shortstop Peraza for the first out. And that kind of night for VR tonight. And the first out for Peralta.
It sounded like he didn't really hit it all that well down on the end.
Here's Broxton now. Brewers have 7 runs on the board, and their first 3 hitters are 0 for 11 combined.
Yeah. 7 runs on 6 hits. Seven runs on 6 hits, and 4 of the 7 runs that have scored are walks. So Brewers taking advantage of the base on balls tonight.
And a swing and a foul tip right into the middle of the catcher. And Broxton is a strikeout victim. 2 outs in the inning now.
It's actually 5 of the 7 runs that have been plated tonight have been the result of a walk.
So 2 away, second and third, and here is Braun. Ryan walked and scored in the 8th. He was on base when Santana went deep. This guy's got a big arm. Left-handed. Slinging it up there in the upper 90s.
Yeah. Man, the key for him, obviously, like everybody, is going to be whether he can throw a breaking pitch or not.
And Braun chases, inning over. Back-to-back strikeouts. The Brewers come up empty in the 9th. They lead 7-0. Last call for the Cincinnati Reds. 7-0 Milwaukee, and getting big production out of Jeanette and Santana tonight with the long ball. Tonight's game on Fox Sports Wisconsin, presented by Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. Well, we go to the 9th inning, and with a 7-0 lead, Craig Counsell is going to use this opportunity to get Taylor Youngman an inning on the mound. He has not pitched in a game since the 3rd of September with Double-A Biloxi. And he figures to be in line to make a start at some point. They want to try to get him on the mound a couple of times, and Counsell's going to use this opportunity to get him some game reps.
Yes, scuffled again in AAA, but went down to Double-A and did pretty well. He had a .251 ERA and 13 starts in Double-A. And these two guys know each other pretty well, Pena and Youngman. They work together in the minor leagues.
Eugenio Suarez leads off. You saw Yadier Rivera at third after his double. Good night all around for the Brewers. Good defense tonight. 7 runs on the board. They've hit the long ball. And Junior Guerra is in line for yet another win. Fly ball, right field, slicing foul. Say what you want about wins and losses for a starting pitcher, and oftentimes they don't tell the whole story. Guerra, with a win tonight, would go to 9-3, but I think there is one pretty telling stat here with Guerra: the fact that with a win tonight, with 3 more outs, the Brewers are going to go to 14-6 when he makes a start. As Youngman strikes out Suarez. Nice pitch.
That's that curveball that he really had a difficult time finding early in the year this year. Started on the roster out of the starting rotation, really got hit hard and got sent down. Really didn't see too many of those curveballs. That's a dandy right there. That's the curveball he was throwing when he first got called up last year.
Very unorthodox delivery. There's not a lot of pitching coaches who can think along with Taylor Youngman. He still works with a coach in his hometown back in Texas. Pitching coach by the name of James Ellison, and he's the one guy that knows where all the parts need to be. Derek Johnson is learning fast. Derek Johnson always thought of a great mechanics man. As Rivera makes a catch, 2 quick outs for Youngman. I think that'll be a good match with Derek Johnson. He came from the college ranks. The Brewer pitching coach was a longtime pitching coach at Vanderbilt, and he coached pitchers like David Price and Sonny Gray, among others. Youngman probably fits more into the Jared Weaver category more than any other pitcher active right now. And Weaver has some of the same problems, at least. Weaver's been certainly a much more accomplished pitcher than Taylor at this point, but not a lot of YouTube videos on how to work out these type mechanics when you're this far across the body.
Yeah, tough to repeat these kind of mechanics, which makes it a big challenge for a pitching coach.
It looks like, if you're staring in the third base dugout from this camera angle, that he's pitching right at you when he's throwing to home plate.
Yeah, what makes him very effective and deceptive is what makes him rather inconsistent at times. With that delivery, that back foot, it drags almost at a 90-degree angle between home and third. Everything has to be working just right for him to be consistent in throwing strikes.
Into center field. Broxton is right there, and Taylor Youngman, welcome back to the big leagues. 3 up, 3 down in the 9th, and the Brewers win this one. A finisher for Youngman, and a 7-0 win for the Brewers. They salvage the final game in this 3-game series with Cincinnati. Off to Chicago now. The Brewers will start a 4-gamer with the Cubs tomorrow, and you can bet Wrigley is going to be jumping. Cubs' magic number is down to 1. Let's get you caught up here with Brewers Live. Jeff Grayson is anxious and